Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya. Salam kebajikan, salam sejahtera untuk kita semua. Salam berdampak dari Dikti Saintek. Saya diminta oleh Pak Dirjen yang ketua semuanya itu pakai bahasa Inggris katanya hari ini, jadi izin saya pakai bahasa Inggris. His Excellency Minister of Higher Education, Science and Technology, Professor Brian Yuliarto. His Excellency Vice Minister of Higher Education, Science and Technology, Professor Faustin. Nobel Laureate, Professor Brian Smith. Prominent scholar from Australian Academy National University, Professor Chenupati Jagaris. Thank you for making the trip all the way. We're very excited to have international presence and commitment to our country's commitment for science and technology. Rector of University of ITB, Professor Tata Cipta Dirgantara. Special advisor to the ministers. Today, I think I see a lot of you, Pak Uki, Pak Marsafiro, and many distinguished colleagues from my ministry, director generals, directors, special advisor, Uchichi. There's so many of you here. I will not say one by one, but we're very excited to have the whole family here of the ministry. Pejabat pimpinan Komandan Pusidora Laksamana Madya TNI, Pak Budi Purwanto, senang sekali bisa berjumpa lagi Pak. Direktur Utama PT Wanjek Indonesia, Bapak Jahya Tiar Cahyana. Direktur Utama PT Elevasi Agri Indonesia, Bapak Bayu Syahli Rahmat. My very great colleagues from universities, those the rectors, vice rectors, and also my amazing colleagues who are scientists who are present here today. Thank you for being here. We are very excited to have together at this beautiful campus of Institute of Technology Bandung. I'm asked to set the stage a little bit before I introduce Professor Brian Smith. So allow me to take not very long, but 10 minutes to just sit us all together and thinking about what is it that we want to achieve together. The title of my talk is Higher Education is the Key to Economic Growth. If you notice, the title of this whole convention that was initiated fully under the leadership of our minister, Professor Brian Yuliarto, is Science, Technology, and Industry. So there is a bit of industry that is truly important to the development of science and technology. We know that science and technology is important, but what I really want to highlight today is that science and technology cannot happen without you, because it only happens, it has to happen at the higher education. It has to happen at the university. And I also want to show you, using data from all over the world, from other ecosystems, that we can do it, and we have to do it, and only if we do it at higher education, we will drive this country's economic growth. So it is really about the economy, it is really about the higher education. It is not just a one thing that the government does, it has to be done by a higher education. You are all very familiar with that, except our foreign guests, but I would like to remind you that the President of the Republic of Indonesia actually did set up a very important goal under his 8 key points. Astacita. Number 4 is strengthening the development of human resource, science, technology, and education. And while many times, many of us who are just out there, if we're not sitting in the government, feel that there is a saying in the government and it's not being done, I think you can see that it is really being done by this government, under the presidency, under the leadership of our minister, Professor Brian Yuliarto. The president himself was present today. He gave a talk for 3 hours to all of us scientists to tell us that it's really important what we do is truly important for this country. I'm going to just give one quote from him, which I think really sets the stage. He said he really loves history, and he reads lots and lots of history books. And one thing that he realized is that only civilization that masters science and technology can win the race. We are in the race, ladies and gentlemen. We are not here just to sit and let the wealth of our country to not be managed well. We are not here to just sit and let the brains that all you have is going to just be stagnant. We are racing. Our president already said that, and we need to do it together. When we think about this, I think sometimes if we sit in the universities, we kind of feel it's so far away from us. We do research, we do teaching, we do service. We are not part of this race. But I think that is so wrong. We are one of the most important elements for Indonesia to win this race. The race to prosperity, to make our country prosperous. And so I want to start with real numbers to show that higher education really generates economy. I'm using numbers from other universities, but these numbers are also being achieved by our universities today. We just haven't had the data yet, and it is important to collect the data, and it is going to be achieved even more. Now let me just give you 3 examples, 3 real numbers. The study shows that since 1930s, Stanford University alumni and faculty had started nearly 40,000 companies, their own faculty and alumni, and employed 5.4 million people, and until today, generated 2.7 trillion US dollars in annual revenues. That puts Stanford, one university, among the world's 10 largest economies. Among the world's 10 largest economies. One university, ladies and gentlemen. MIT, as of 2014, had founded over 30,000 companies and employed 4.6 million people and generated nearly $2 trillion in annual revenues. Annual revenues, setiap tahun, yearly revenues, $2.4 trillion from one university. I actually just returned from Stanford University and bringing a lot of goodies that I already reported to Minister very briefly because just 2 days ago. But it is all for all of you. And we'll be expecting a lot more collaborations also from that region. You may think Stanford and MIT, but I'm going to give you another example. You may not have heard about University of Kansas, but here it is. University of Kansas drives 7.8 billion annual economic impact in Kansas or its region and supports nearly 88,000 jobs. So the numbers are there. University really generates economy. The question is how? How do we do that? How do we generate more economy? All of you know this answer. I'm here just to make another statement, to make it even more explicit that we really have to do this together. The mechanism is this, dear colleagues. It starts with knowledge. It starts with knowledge. Only if you have knowledge production, only if we generate knowledge, we can attract investment. If we don't have knowledge generated, we cannot attract investment. The reason why university generates economy, the reason why Stanford, MIT, Kansas, every single university in the world, we heard yesterday from Singapore, today we're going to hear from Australia, generates trillions of dollars is because university is the bedrock of knowledge. Those knowledge attracts money, those knowledge attracts investment. When you have an investment, only then you can build infrastructures. After infrastructures, then you can build more knowledge. Without infrastructures, you cannot access or generate knowledge. So it is a cycle, but this cycle starts with knowledge. And this is why you in the university is the one who has to drive the investment, is the one who has to drive the infrastructures for more knowledge, for more investment, for more infrastructure. And the cycle goes on so we can win the race. How does this cycle, how does this knowledge actually begin? It only begins because you are doing research. And I want to highlight here the mechanism that I think is familiar for all of you, but I think it's worth pointing it out again. We all know the outcome one. When you do research, you have innovation and you have research. Outcomes, papers published. All of those are superbly important. But don't forget about the outcome number 2. If you do teaching based on research, what you are going to do is that you are going to educate students with research mindset. Students who understand what is the latest technology in AI, what is the latest technology in chips, in semiconductor. If you don't do the research, they will not be able to learn from you the latest frontier of research. And if they are understanding the latest frontier of research, if they involve in the research process itself, then you can bring and you can produce, and we are going to produce, the university is going to produce industry innovators and skilled workforce. Research mindset is not only for doing research. If you have research mindset, this allows you to be able to problem solve and be employed by universities. We heard from the panel of BUMN yesterday, for all of you who were present here. Director of PLN and Director of Telcom both said what they really need beyond the specific skills are the skills to problem solve, the skill to learn new things that only come from research experience. So please involve your students in your research and produce a research outcome that can generate private research grant, that can fund and bring investment to your university. So let's really focus on the knowledge. Here are some numbers just to convince you again. This is from the World Intellectual Property Organization. They all have mapped that an increase in research by 10% in the short run will actually increase the GDP by 0.2% overall in the world. In the long run, this is going to increase 0.9%. So yes, it takes time, but that is what is going to generate and increase our GDP. This is not counting all the other investment that it will bring in. It's just simply from looking at the patents, the research it generates. If we want to escape the middle income trap, the data from around the world have also shown that you must innovate and you must do research. Because it is precisely the innovation gap that divides the upper middle income countries with the high income countries. So in the y-axis you can see on the left is technology index, and on the right is the number of researchers per million of inhabitants. And that what separates the upper middle income countries with the high income country. That's what separates the gap. Again, my point is that you at the universities are the one who is going to make our country goes up the level, wins the race. So to this, we also have to be strategic, because there is a gap. We must admit that currently we are not at the same level in terms of research, in terms of innovation, in terms of knowledge production with other countries. So we have to be strategic. What is that strategy? Specialization. We are not going to be winning by doing everything all at once in a mediocre way. Instead, you must find the specialization. We, the government, find niche areas. So focus your research. Develop expertise in one area. I think we'll heard from Professor Brian Schmidt that he got a novel in one area, and he continues to develop that one area. You must be an expert in one thing. And we collectively in this country must be strategic in finding what are our niche areas. Agriculture, superbly important for our countries. Critical mineral, because we have them. Marine sciences, extremely important. But it doesn't mean it's only in those areas, because you can be a social scientist who studies about how the peasants are using the technology in agricultural science. But it has to be developed on niche area. Only then we can actually bridge the gap, because there is a gap currently, and we have to specialize. Specialize knowledge. Be focused in your research. Be focused in your expertise. Develop until you're well known for that one area. Our minister is well known for the material science, for nanomaterials. That's what we have to do, each and every one of us who are present here. And this really brings investment. So these are the numbers from the ministry. These are the ones that you already received. The total budget is 2.26 trillion rupiah. These actually, however, have not included the things that we're about to announce, again under the leadership of our minister and working together with all the director generals. We have managed to almost double. We're going to have another 1.8 trillion Indonesian rupiah that will be generating for all of you to do research. It will be announced, I think, either today or tomorrow. So this is something that you are all very familiar with. Investment comes from government. But I want to highlight something. In the world, investment doesn't come only from government. In fact, if you look at the data, investment in research comes large part from private sectors. In the EU, companies fund up to 59% of total research and development. In the US, it's about 63%. In China, South Korea, and Japan, over 75% of R&D investment come from the private sector. The numbers changes all the time, but you can see that investment comes from private sectors, and that is why this convention is science, technology, and industry. And that is why we're bringing the BUMN, we're bringing the private sectors, so that they can meet with you, and you can meet with them, and really think very, very hardly how to entice the private sectors to fund your research as well. What we do here in KSTI, work of all the ministry, is to catalyze this, a cycle of research and innovation that to power economic growth. We must think about the economy. The economy doesn't mean it's only translational research. Yesterday you heard from Singapore that the basic research are actually just as great, if not even better, in the long run to actually power the economic growth. So today, I hope you take the opportunities to look at each other. Those of you from the academia, please get to know the 68 ministries, the 152 BUMN that are here together in this conference, to tell you that they too are very interested in funding your research. And those of you who are from private sectors, from BUMN, we're going to have a lot of signing today. Please get to know our 400 Innovation Showcase. We already have produced this knowledge. We just haven't made the direct link with economic growth, but we are doing that. This is what the ministry, under the leadership of Professor Bian Leardo, really want to drive, the economic growth that's derived from university. The rectors, the LLDT leaders, think about how to make a policy that will really bridge the research to really be done well in your universities and can be bridged with the economy, with the private sectors, with the government. Yesterday, President Prabowo Subianto said, this is a real quote, because I did note down what he said. The scientists of Indonesia, this country needs you now. It is now, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, all of you here today, knowledge drives investment. Investment drives infrastructure. Infrastructure brings more knowledge. You are the one who are producing the knowledge. Let us begin today, and it begins with us. Thank you very much.